And I am recording.
Me too.
Me three.
Cool. Welcome back to another episode of Music Mondays, everybody. I'm Taylor.
I'm Leah.
And I'm John.
That's my dad. We have a guest.
Woo! We have a very special guest. We found him on the street yesterday.
Yep. Never met him before.
Never met him. We don't know who he is.
It's so stressful.
Some old guy. This week we're talking about Paolo Nutini in his album Sunny Side Up. And we have my dad on this podcast because I wouldn't know who Paolo Nutini is if it weren't for my dad. My dad, I've talked about it before, he has inspired a lot of the music that I listen to. So yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about who Paolo is and how he got his start. Contrary to popular belief, he is not Italian. He is from Scotland. He was born in Paisley, Scotland on January 9th, 1987, so he is 32 years old. His dad is from Italy, which is where the last name Nutini comes from, but his mom is from Scotland. He was supposed to take over his family's fish and chip shop, but his grandmother took notice of his talent and sent him to a theater school, which he then dropped out of to be a roadie for the Scottish band Speedway. And while he was selling merch for them on tour, he began to demo songs with the band's drummer. And then from then, he started playing live shows, and he became known as the guy who sings with his eyes closed. And after the release of his latest album, Caustic Love, in 2014, he was known as Scotland's biggest artist, which I said with air quotes, because he was arguably known as that. He signed with Atlantic Records at the age of 18, and released his debut album, These Streets, at the age of 19, which is a very good album. That album, I believe, hit number 2 or number 4 on the UK charts. And then he got some United States fame when he performed the song Coming Up Easy on Conan O'Brien in 2009, which is the year that he did release this album, Sunny Side Up. He has 2.58 million monthly listeners on Spotify and approximately 850,000 followers on Spotify. Yeah, so that's kind of his background. This album was released in May of 2009 in Ireland, and then in June of 2009 he released it in the UK. So Ireland had first dibs on it. And this album actually debuted at number 1 on the UK charts, and fell off a little bit. And then it hit number 1 again in January of 2010, making it the first album to top the UK charts in this decade, which I think is pretty cool. And Sunny Side Up was nominated for British Album of the Year. And I remember these songs. I don't know if you do, Dad. He released 2 bonus tracks that were iTunes exclusive, called Smokey Joe's Cafe, which is the Robbins cover, and Funky Cigarette.
Yes, I have both of those on my 120 gigabyte old
95-year-old iPod. He has that chunky iPod.
Yeah.
Those.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I had the little square, the tiny square.
Oh, yeah. I had the big one. But yeah, those 2 songs are actually really good songs, and it's just I can't ever find them on Spotify, so that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, they're iTunes exclusive.
But yeah, those kind of really set up the sound of this album, which is completely different from These Streets.
Definitely.
So a lot of people, I think, were shocked by this album when it came out. That they're like, "No way, this is Paolo Nutini. This sounds nothing like These Streets." These Streets was very, I would call, poppy, whereas Sunny Side Up is very bluesy, a lot more guitar picking, and is just, in my opinion, as much as I like these streets, this album was through the roof for me.
Yeah. This album did receive mixed critical reception. Um, Somebody named Neil McCormick from the Daily Telegraph said his joyous second album organically blends soul, country, folk, and the brash, horny energy of ragtime swing.
I would say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. And somebody from The Guardian, her name was Caroline Sullivan, called the album not bad, with the opening track 10 out of 10 described as jaunty enough to make you retch.
Oh, Carolyn, go see a manager.
Not bad. So
I mean, you could say that anything that I've ever made is also like not bad.
Yeah.
Like everything I've ever made is like decent enough to make you not vomit, but like I wouldn't necessarily call it awesome, either.
Yeah.
So like you could say that about a lot of things.
Yeah.
I guess you could also say, if you put it in air quotes, you could also say that I am arguably Scotland's biggest artist right now.
Oh.
Arguably.
I mean, anybody could. I could argue my case, but I won't.
Right.
I won't do that.
I agree.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
no, I really like this album a lot. I had never heard of him before this, so this was new. But I like it. I will definitely. This is one of those that I will save songs from.
mm-hmm.
I normally don't.
I knew you would like
super
it
often. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
What's your favorite?
There's a lot. Yeah.
My favorite?
What is your?
It was a kind of a tie between Growing Up Beside You and chamber music.
I knew that chamber music would be on your top.
I think that I might have to go with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's like
good.
It's a standout on this album for sure. Because it's like you listen to everything else, and something that I wrote on our document here is that every single song in this album is different.
Yeah.
But like everything works together, and then chamber music is just there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a whole other thing.
But it's still got its place, you know. But yeah, everything else is like, okay, this is like kind of not similar, but similar enough that it's like, oh, this is a cohesive album. And then it's like,
yeah,
like
definitely. What's your favorite, Dad?
I really don't like picking favorites from this album, but I really like Candy and Pencil Full of Lead. Pencil Full of Lead. If as soon as that song starts, you just start getting your groove on. So Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of songs on here that your shoulders start moving as soon as they start. You start feeling that groove.
I feel the same way about These Streets, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that all of his music, excluding his new album, Caustic Love, except for, what is it called? Funk My Life Up?
Yeah, Stream Funk My Life Up.
Yeah.
That is an awesome song.
But did you happen to listen to any of his other music, Leah?
I did not.
I think that you would like the rest of his music a lot. Fun fact, he has a song on These Streets called Jenny Don't Be Hasty. And it's actually a true story I found out today when I was doing my research about him kind of falling in love with an older woman. And she's like, nah, dude, you're 18 years old. But like also she's stringing him along. And he's like, yo, like, if you don't like me, that's fine. But quit doing that to me. It's a good song.
So,
Yes. That is a true song. I knew that already, actually.
Yes, Leah?
Sorry, never mind. Ignore me.
Oh. I put honorable mention to Pencil Full of Lead, Candy, and High Hopes. I love when he goes, my hopes are like that part a lot.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Thank you.
That is not bad. There's some good harmony in this album too that you don't really expect, and then you got the light harmonica in the background in some areas, and then you got heavy harmonica kind of in your face in some areas too. But it's he's been on a lot of TV shows, also, where they play his music. There was a year where I think Grey's Anatomy was in love with him,
Oh,
Yeah.
and I always love it when I hear a song like that, or even with like Ryan Adams songs, and when you're watching a show and you're like, oh, I know that song.
Yeah.
Then you kind of get you right back into the groove of like, I need to go listen to that album again because I miss it.
just like reminds you that it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I know we talk about it a lot, but it's like, we fall into our little playlist rut. So it's like you need to expand. I mean, I'm terrible about falling into the playlist rut, but yeah, no, I think this album, one thing that I liked about it so much is that it feels very like raw to me.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't, it's not like this highly produced, like over the top anything. It's just like a dude and his guitar and some other like harmonica, and he's just having a good time, and I just really enjoy that because it feels very personal, and it's so much easier to relate to albums that are like that because like next week we're talking about Harry Styles, and although Harry Styles is good, it's like he's untouchable, and it's like musicians like that and albums like that, it's like unreachable, but like this feels like it just feels personal to me, and I like albums that are like that.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's a good point. I like the first thing you wrote on the doc, Leah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wrote. I've never heard this album yet. It feels like I've listened to it a million times. It does. Like it hit a nostalgic. Like obviously it's nostalgic for you because like you grew up listening to it. You guys like can bond over it. I've never heard this album, but like, yeah, I still felt like a nostalgic connection to it. It just like it was released in 2009, and I felt like I was little me in 2009 listening to it. Like I felt like I had a personal connection to it too, and I don't. And so like I don't know. It was just cool. It's just a good feeling album.
Yeah.
It makes you feel.
This album, it does. It feels good to listen to.
Yeah, it's a happy album. As opposed to some of the other stuff that we like with like the Ryan Adams and Ray LaMontagne and stuff like that, where you're trying to keep the sharp objects away from yourself.
Right. Ryan Adams, like his only goal is to make you want to crawl into a bunker and die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. No, I don't feel that with this one.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, the only sad thing about Paolo is he's only got these 3 albums out, and it's been since 2014, so now we're almost on 6 years since he's put out another one. So he needs
Is there a reason why, or is he just taking a break?
I couldn't find anything about it. I think he's just chilling.
Yeah, I see something here. It says, as of 2017, Nutini was living in his hometown of Paisley, and he has performed karaoke there in 2019.
Wow.
The only other thing that he made a live album in 2010, live at Preservation Hall. And it's only Pencil Full of Lead, Coming Up Easy, Candy, and High Hopes. So, yeah. Caustic Love, that's a deep album, for sure.
Yeah, again, completely changes his sound.
Yep, he has
on another album.
He features Janelle Monáe on that album, actually.
Oh, wow.
Which is cool. But Sunny Side Up, I think Sunny Side Up is my favorite album artwork out of all of them.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say that too. I really like the artwork on it. It's fun.
Very much.
Good stuff.
Which kind of leads into the feeling of the whole album itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. It's
definitely.
It's upbeat. It's colorful.
Mm-hmm.
Vivid.
These Streets just looks like, yeah, you're just saying stuff to talk, aren't you?
I'm just making up adjectives.
These Streets album
looks like it was made in 2007.
It looks like it was made in 2007 by a guy in the UK. Like that's exactly what the album artwork looks like.
Yeah.
Well, the same with Caustic. Well, that isn't. But Caustic Love is real dark. Also, it's just a black face on there.
Yeah. I feel like there was something I was going to say.
I thought I heard somebody singing, like, oh, outside.
Was it Luke?
Okay. No, I mean maybe, but I don't. Who knows? It was just like because it's like lightly snowing, and I just hear like whoa, and I'm like, what's happening?
Maybe it's carolers, Christmas
Oh
carolers.
God,
we're supposed to get
thank
like
you.
4 inches of snow tonight, so I'm not looking forward to.
Gross.
It's supposed to be
Sorry.
70 here today.
Well, I'm going to be in Florida the rest of the week, so I don't really care if it snows, I guess. Dad, how did you find Paolo? Was it just a you and Tony doing weird shit?
Yep, exactly. As I don't know if Taylor's ever referenced Tony Landgraf on here too, but he's a big influence as the new music for me. So a lot of times I'd get something from him and I'd pass it on to Taylor, and even still today we'll text each other a new artist or somebody that we find that we like to jam to, especially British artists or European artists. You don't really catch a lot of those people. They're a little more prevalent today with all the streaming media and all that stuff, but 10, 15 years ago when you didn't have as much uh, small European artists like Paolo and
like Keen
and Stereophonics and those guys, which if you like a little British rock, you should check out Stereophonics.
Yeah, they're good.
They were harder to find then.
Yeah. My first memories of Paolo and this album are me and you in the maintenance shop at Noble Hawk jamming.
Yeah.
When, especially I would go with my dad to work when I had 2-hour delays or cancellations, and we would just blast music in the warehouse.
Nice.
Yeah, the old 1, 2, 3, 4. 1.
Yeah, that was good shit. So cool. Well, I don't.
His voice, I really like his voice. Yeah. It's just so.
It's very unique.
Very unique. You don't hear anything that's really like him out there, and you can tell a Paolo Nutini song pretty quickly by just that. I don't know what that sound he makes in his throat is, but
it's like
I like it.
It's a little raspy.
And it's high pitched without being annoying.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yes.
Well, good. You have any?
I didn't have any shit that we don't like. I didn't have anything for that.
I don't either.
Simple Things would be probably the only song I'm not a big fan of on this, but I still like it. It's just, it's kind of that one where, and you need it in this album because there's a lot of upbeat songs. So when Simple Things hits, it kind of brings things down a little bit, and then you get popping again.
I always describe it just one of those that you might not listen to the whole thing. You might skip it halfway through, might get a little bit of it, and then you're tired. But not necessarily bad. I think High Hopes was maybe that one for me. It wasn't I liked it, but it wasn't. I'm sorry, but it wasn't my favorite. It was just I don't know. The chord progression just didn't strike me quite right. It was just one of those things where I'm like, oh, this is okay. This is fine. But I know that's controversial, but
I don't.
Controversial opinion.
Looking at
it was just when. Sorry.
No, you're good. Keep talking.
Yeah, no, just one of those things. When you're just the actual sound of it, not the words or anything. It just doesn't hit your ears.
Right.
Okay.
Just right.
Dad, I'm looking at the lyrics to Simple Things, and it's totally the kind of song that you would cry in the car to. If you look up the lyrics to that song, I mean, I get not liking the sound of it so much. I do want to throw another honorable mention to Keep Rolling, because that's just it's a good closing to the album.
It is a good closing. It's a nice wrap up, and then if you let it start back over, it's a good good lead.
Definitely
back into 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Keep rolling. That's that harmony I was talking about. They have, I really like their harmony in that song too.
Yeah. I'm going to have to find Smokey Joe's and Funky Cigarette. I want to listen to those again.
I'm going to have to figure out a way to jack them off my iPod.
Yeah, because iTunes doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, that's right. I guess it's just Apple Music, isn't it?
They don't have iTunes anymore. So if you plug your iPod into the computer, it might fuck it up.
So is it even on Apple Music?
I don't know. I'll have to look on. Evan uses Apple Music. I'll have to look.
Oh, Evan.
Oh,
I
Evan.
know. It was really funny.
I'm glad we were both there together.
It was really funny because when we were all doing our Spotify Wrapped, I was in like 6 different group messages, sending my shit back and forth to all my friends, and Evan's like, "Oh, I got Apple Music."
Well, yeah, if you weren't a loser, you would be able to be involved.
He goes, "I listened to John Bellion and Eminem the whole year."
As if we, as if we don't know what his Wrapped would be anyway, because he listens to 2 artists.
I know. Oh, and now he listens to AJR because he listens to AJR when he once knew John music, but he also despises AJR because they just rip off John.
That and Pop Goes Punk.
And Pop Goes Punk, yeah. He can probably hear me just ripping on him.
His taste.
It's his mind.
His mind. Wow. Whenever I feel bad about getting stuck in a playlist rut, I should just think about what Evan listens to.
You should. You really should. The other day, he was singing Hot Shower by Chance the Rapper. And I said, "Oh, that's new for you." He goes, "I was listening to it at work the other day." I said, "Oh, good for you."
Good for you.
So proud of him.
I know. He just likes it. The chorus of that song.
So. Do you ever, I was going to shower, probably in, 30 minutes to an hour, and Luke just went in there, and I'm like, but I'm, recording the podcast actively, but I'm also
I was thinking about going in there.
Even though he'll be out of the shower before we're even done. Yeah. I'm like,
right.
What?
Yep.
Sorry, that was a sidebar. But I just, watched him go in just now. And I was like, what are you doing?
Yep. I totally feel that. All right, closing thoughts on the album.
Good.
Yeah.
Great.
Good shit. I like
Fun.
it a lot.
Like it.
Listen to it loud.
Yeah.
Listen to it and turn it up. And loud.
This morning I was trying to listen to it
the end.
On I got one of the Google Home speakers from Spotify, and I was trying to listen to it, and Evan keeps going up to it. He goes, "Google, no, shut the fuck up," and it would pause my music, and I would click play, and then he'd go over, and you can tap the sides to turn the volume up or down, and he would turn it all the way down, and I could just control it from my phone. It was a battle between me, Evan, and the Google Home.
My Google Home. Last night, I was play Christmas classics, which I've been doing, and just listening to the old time Christmas music, like you do. And last night, I asked us to do it, and it started playing Christmas trap music, and it wouldn't stop. And I kept re-asking it, thinking maybe it just misheard me, and it was not misheard. It just I don't know what. I asked it 5 times, and it just kept playing. It was and I was like.
That's so funny. Speaking of Christmas trap, Dram. You know Dram. He has that song about broccoli.
Sure.
Yeah. He put out a Christmas song, and it's actually pretty good. He's like, "When the Christmas tree gets lit, so do I." And I'm like, "Yes." Yes. It's real good.
Me too.
All right, guys.
So next week we're doing Dram's Christmas song. We were doing that.
Next week we're doing Fine Line by Harry Styles. Yes.
I think y'all saw that coming.
I can hear all the Directioners screaming. We
can talk about my sister's One Direction pillow again.
Bring it back.
Oh, I love it. Bring it back.
That's fantastic.
Her birthday is on the day that this episode comes out. Happy birthday,
Happy
child.
birthday, Carly.
Anyway.
Happy birthday, Carly.
Anyways, you guys can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere you can find a podcast. If it's not on your podcast app, use a different one because yours sucks. You can find us everywhere at Music Monday Cast. If you didn't hear me, rewind it. It's your own fault. Have a musical Monday. Thanks for being on the podcast, Dad.
Do it. Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Cool.
Merry Christmas.
Cool. Happy
Merry Crim.
holidays.
Happy fall.
Am I supposed to hit stop now?
Yes.
Yes.